Let there be joy in our coming together this morning. Let there be truth heard in the words we speak and the songs we sing. Let there be help and healing for our disharmony and despair. Let there be silence for the voice within us and beyond us. Let there be joy in our coming together. Those words by the great Carl Sieber. I want to invite the soul singers down to just lead us and infuse us with spirit and invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing number 361 in the gray hymnal, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. And if you feel rejoicing, please put it into the song. Standing for the lighting of the chalice and the doxology. Would our chalice lighters come forward, please, and lead us in the responsive words that are printed in the order of service. It's never easy.
It's always It's coming. Let this flame be to us a symbol of the wholeness we seek.
Its brightness dispelling gloom, lighting the path to faith and hope.
Its glow reminding us of the sacred bonds that link us to all living things.
Its radiance allowing us to cast the light of freedom, justice, and peace on all the world.
Good morning and welcome. I am the Reverend Susan Milner, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. It's my honor and my joyful pleasure to serve as interim minister to this historic and future-oriented congregation. We gratefully acknowledge the Patuxet Wampanoag people on whose ancestral lands we gather today. We commit to support and honor their history and culture, as we are doing, for instance, with the scholarship for an Indigenous child or children that we are funding. We welcome all of you, members and friends and newcomers today, including, of course, those of you joining us online. We are glad that you all decided to be here in one way or another on this morning. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whatever your age, whatever your gender, identity, whatever anything about you, we welcome you here warmly. And we hope that for this 1 hour, you will feel, at least this 1 hour, you will feel like you can be part of this community. Everyone is invited to coffee hour following the service in the Assembly Hall. That is through this door, if you're new, and through the parlor and down at that end of the building. If you're visiting for first or second time, if you take a red mug in the coffee hour, we will recognize that you are that you are new, and try to give you a really warm First Parish greeting. I have a couple of announcements to make today. As you know, or should know from last week, our annual stewardship drive is going on, and that continues, and we need to continue to get in pledges from those who have not pledged. Amy Hamilton will be in the hall at the table with the balloons to take pledges this morning if you're ready to give one. And then another announcement. You got some really great news this week, which is that your ministerial search committee has invited a candidate who has said yes to being your candidate. First of all, can we just give them a lot of appreciation? Many of you have been through the process before, but some of you haven't, and I just wanted to say that the time lag between a candidate having been identified by the search committee and the time that that's made public, that information is made public for all of you, it's a perfectly normal time lag. There are just things that always have to be done and finalized during that period. And so you can look for the big reveal pretty soon, I'm sure, and that'll be great news for everybody. And then the other thing that you can do, which you'll be hearing about, is plan to be available to be present during that candidating week from April 27th through May the 4th. Again, welcome, and so glad you're here today. And now we're going to sing our children out so that they can go to their chapel and have their program, which they really love to do. Somebody start us? I love it when as they're leaving, you hear one of them yelling at the other, "I don't care." Once a month, we set aside some time in the service for the community to hear from each other their own joys and concerns. So I am going to, it's one of the ways that we weave the fabric of community here at First Parish. I'm going to invite anyone who has a joy or a concern to share this morning to come down this aisle. If you're over here, just go from the back and come down this aisle. You can do it silently, or you can speak a few brief words. If you do decide to speak, tell us your name, preferably your pronouns, and tell us briefly what you celebrate or are concerned about this morning. There they go.
Liz Connors. Got a squeaky, kind of raspy voice this morning, but she, her are my pronouns, and it's both a joy and a concern in the same candle. I'm concerned just since January with our new administration, but hope from yesterday. I went to Boston. There was probably 50,000 people, just amazing energy, and I just feel like we can't be silent anymore. So rise up.
Either way, it's all right either way. There you go. Good job.
My name is Peter Jackson. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm going to echo what Liz just said. The concerns I have are far too many for me to elaborate on, but I felt great joy this morning waking up and looking at the 1,200 plus demonstrations here in our country and around the world, and it just reignited my faith in humanity and that there are so many good, honest people who care like I do. So I'm joyful to see that. And yes, we do need to rise up.
By the way, those people who are online on Zoom, if you have a joy or concern, indicate that to Emma in the chat or by raising your hand, and we'll ask you after we're done here.
I'm Jerry Lark, and my pronouns are he and his, and this is a candle of great grief, I guess, because my friend of 50 years, we were in school together and all, is on his last days of living. He's in the Pat Roach hospice in Hingham, so thinking about him all the time.
Ted Lillis, he, him. Julie Lillis, she, her, right? Okay. Sorry. It's this candle of joy. We have been anticipating being a bi-coastal family, and someone, I don't know, came to her senses and decided she's going to stay in Boston. So Sarah's not moving to the West Coast, and she's looking to be in Boston near her brother, who's in Somerville and soon to be Cambridge, and we're pretty darn happy.
Good for her.
My name is Nancy Landgren. My pronouns are she, her, and I'd like to light this candle of great joy for renewing friendships. I had a great friend in high school, and then we sort of had separate lives for about 30 years in the middle. And we have reestablished a great friendship, and I'm going to visit her for 10 days, and we're going to wander around Oregon together.
I'm Jim Hamilton, he, him pronouns. Two things. One, the Ministerial Search Committee is just so delighted, and we can't wait for you to meet our candidate and get to know them. So that's certainly a big joy. And then Amy and I are heading off on Thursday. We're going to Chicago, and we get to meet our grandson for the first time.
Lois Wood, Doug Friesen. Same sentiment as Peter and everybody else. We went to the Plymouth demonstration, and it was joy to see so many people just out there and doing it. And also sorrow that we've got to be out there. And the neat thing was the last protest we went to was about women's rights, and we had lots and lots of big men in trucks screaming at us, giving us the finger. This time, it was like 100% approval, everybody going by. No, almost nobody said, no, 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 no. So that's joy. The other joy is our little dog. You know, we have a new little dog, 22 pounds, Penny, and she helps us so much during this time. And she has a new boyfriend who is a 150-pound dog, and she loves him and he loves her. So there's not gonna be any baby because everybody's, you know. It's going to be funny looking little babies. And anyway, it's a good little joy to have a little doggie who just every day is wonderful for her.
If only the dog could light a candle for new friendship.
Hi, my name is Ray Sanders. My pronouns are she and her. This is a joy, or no, this is a candle of concern. Actually, we got the sad news that a close family member of one of my children's passed away due to an overdose. So it's a concern for that family, and I guess also a joy that they are so far removed from that. So.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Whedon. My pronouns are she, her. I have two quick joys. One is that my family has been ravaged by cancer. I lost my mom to it a couple years ago. My sister went through treatment, but my dad just finished his second round for his second treatment. So I am grateful for medical miracles and resilience. And the second one is that I just did mystery reader for my son's first grade class and chose a book by Sonia Sotomayor about sort of differences and celebrating them, and the kids were like little sponges, and it was a much needed salve to our current situation to see their excitement and willingness to share how they related to different kids in the book. So I just wanted to share that.
Hi, I'm Michael Gardner, he, his, and him, I guess. And Candle of Joy and Concern, I was privileged to spend the last week scuba diving in the Grenada area, and always amazed at the diversity and explosion of gorgeous life there underwater, and also concerned that it's a lot different than it was 30 years ago, first time I saw those sites. The fish are smaller, the coral is browner, and it's not as diverse and beautiful as I at least remember it. And with that, a little humility. I think that the world would get along just fine if we weren't there.
Emma, are there any candles, any joys and concerns from online? All right. going to put this one out because it looks, and light another one in its place because it looked like it could lead to a conflagration. And one candle for the joys and concerns that go unspoken this morning, but that you carry in your hearts. Would you join me, please, in a spirit of meditation this morning, part of a meditation on joy and gratitude about Jack Cornfield, and more later about the connection between the two. Let yourself sit quietly and at ease. Let your body be open, your breath natural, your heart easy. Begin this practice of gratitude by feeling how year after year you have cared for your own life. Now let yourself begin to acknowledge all that has supported you in this care. With gratitude, I remember the people, animals, plants, insects, creatures of the sky and sea, air and water, fire and earth, all whose joyful exertion blesses my life every day. With gratitude, I remember the care and labor of 1,000 generations of elders and ancestors who came before me. I offer my gratitude for the safety and well-being that I have enjoyed. I offer my gratitude for the blessing of this earth I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the family and friends, whether families of kin or choice, I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the community I have found. I offer my gratitude for the teachings and lessons I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the life that I have been given. And just as we are grateful for our blessings, so we can be grateful for the others. And so as we move into a moment of sacred silence, extend this practice of gratitude to another person you care about, perhaps then to neutral people, even difficult people, until you perhaps can extend joy to all beings, young and old, near and far. Let us enter into the silence. May our hopes and dreams take flight on the wings of love. And now Shirley Jenkins is going to share our first reading of the morning, a poem, Don't Hesitate, by Mary Oliver. You're going to have to speak right into the mic, Shirley. It's not on. See, it's on now. Try it again.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I have to be right on top of it. Don't Hesitate by Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel the if you excuse me, if you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Get into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed for labor about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be something, it could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb.
Thank you, Shirley. You are asked to give so much at this moment in time, and I do not mean just out of your pockets, but out of your hearts, out of your values, out of your courage. I so appreciate hearing from people this morning who are holding the faith in that and showing up, and thank you for doing that. There's probably not much that I appreciate more about you. And that is an offering. That is an offering to life. It's an offering to the future. It's an offering to a better world. And I hope that you continue to give that as generously, faithfully as you can. I hope you will also pledge and donate to this congregation so that the important ministries that all of you do here will be strong next year, because while the next year may be a difficult year in the life of the world or the nation, it can be a strong year in the life of this congregation. The morning offering will now be gratefully accepted. Our second reading today is a poem called Today by Billy Collins. Billy Collins and Mary Oliver are two of my favorite. If ever there were a spring day so perfect, so uplifted by a warm, intermittent breeze that it made you want to throw open all the windows in the house and unlatch the door to the canary's cage, indeed, rip the little door from its jamb. A day when the cool brick paths and the gardens bursting with peonies seemed so etched in sunlight that you felt like taking a hammer to the glass paperweight on the living room end table, releasing the inhabitants from their snow-covered cottage so they could walk out, holding hands and squinting into this larger dome of blue and white. Well, today is just that kind of day. We needed that. When Nelson Mandela died on December the 5th, 2012, the world mourned, especially the apartheid fighters of apartheid in South Africa. As you can imagine, they felt deeply the loss of this courageous yet compassionate man who sacrificed 27 years of his personal freedom because of his fight for their freedom. Mandela's very life embodied his own wise word, "A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination." If ever there were a day that people would be sorrowful, it would have been that one, and the next one, and the next one. Yet oddly, a day or so later, among headlines about the throngs of people swelling in Johannesburg, appeared one word in huge, bold type: joyous. Strange, yet it made perfect sense. At the end of Mandela's life, people found not happiness, but joy. For in grieving him, they tapped the place deep inside where he had ignited their hope and their courage. Now consider, would the word happiness have worked instead on that headline? I don't think so. In this society, we are hyper-focused on achieving happiness. Our Declaration of Independence recognizes our right to pursue it along with life and liberty. And in truth, perhaps most human beings want to pursue happiness. Neuroscientist Nancy Elkoff claims that human brains are actually wired to long for happiness. And so that we can know how we're doing, researchers study and rank countries on the basis of happiness. A recent study covered in the New York Times just in the last couple of weeks found that the happiest country in the world is Finland, with Denmark running a close second. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Greenland officially part of Denmark? It makes you wonder why Greenlanders would ever want to become part of the United States, which ranks 24th in happiness. But the president says they do, and who am I to question the president? The factors that these researchers looked at are revealing. Some, like economic ones, social support, healthy, long lifespan, you would expect. But it would seem that happiness also depends on freedom, generosity, and a low level of corruption. So being happy is not simply having creature comforts, but also enjoying a quality of civic and emotional well-being. In describing the happiness of the Finnish people, researcher Ron Levy says that there's less inequality of well-being, just generally well-being in Finland, than here certainly are in a lot of countries. Now it's interesting, in his teens, my husband spent a year in Finland, where his father was studying on a Fulbright scholarship. And then he says the Finns were not a happy people because they lived under the oppressive thumb of the Soviet Union. The response to every action or statement of any kind had to be calibrated according to how it would land on the Soviets. And then the USSR fell, and the Finns pursued happiness. Although we want happiness, and it's a good thing, and it's significant, it differs from joy, which may be one of the deepest, most healing human experiences. And a primary difference is that we can't create or control joy by arranging the elements of our life, or simply by having a good job, or being well, or even by being free. Joy surprises us. It grasps us. It saturates us. And in so doing, it is more spiritual than emotional. And perhaps, just perhaps, because we cannot create it by any formula, we have more humility in the face of it. One of my favorite spiritual observers, the late Frederick Buechner, reminds us that when we achieve happiness, we take credit for it. And sometimes that's justified. But he says, quote, "We never take credit for our moments of joy because we know that we are never responsible for them. They come when they come, quick and unrepeatable." That beautiful hymn you may know, often used as a marriage hymn and written by C.S. Lewis for his wife, is called "Surprised by Joy" for a reason. And joy can surprise us in the most ordinary times and context. The unspeakable joy sometimes is just being alive, Buechner writes. The miracle sometimes of being just who we are, with the blue sky and the green grass and the faces of our friends and the waves of the ocean being just what they are. The joy of release, of being suddenly well when before we were sick, of being forgiven when we were ashamed and afraid, of finding ourselves when we were lost and alone. Think about your own moments of joy. At least some of them have probably found you. They found you at a moment when the world was reminding you of, with undeniable splendor or intricate nuance, that you belong to it. I have sense memories etched into the pathways of my brain that are so strong and enduring. Quicksilver moments of knowing the wonder of all that is as I think of them. I remember the particular smell of cool, early morning air in the Great Smoky Mountains, redolent with balsam and moisture, the feel of mist on the skin, the cacophony of birdsong, and the quiet thrill that it was part of me and I of it. Or holding, have you ever done this, held a brilliantly red autumn leaf in my hand and recognized that the stories of the season cycles, the stories of birth and rebirth are written there, and that I participate in it. The poets, of course, know the power of quicksilver moments better than most. If ever there were a spring day so perfect, so uplifted by a warm intermittent breeze that it made you want to throw open all the windows in the house, writes Billy Collins. A day when the cool brick paths in the garden bursting with peonies seemed so etched in sunlight that you felt like taking a hammer to the glass paperweight, releasing the inhabitants from their snow-covered cottage so they could just walk out. This is that kind of day. We can't control joy. We can't make it happen, but Brené Brown suggests that gratitude helps us prepare for it. In 12 years of research, she says she's never interviewed anyone who described themselves as joyous who did not actively practice gratitude. Maybe they kept a gratitude journal. I know people who do that. faithfully. Maybe once a day at an appointed time, they said aloud what they're grateful for, just in wherever they were. Or maybe they did it in prayer, which is more my way. Whatever the means, they invited joy by creating the space that gratitude opens up. We can't set out with a formula to bring joy to others, even though we do try to do it. But we can help each other make room for it. I told you last year, I told the people who were there one Sunday last year about the time when our daughter, who's now 35, was born 3 months prematurely, very tiny, and I was very ill. In those first months, she lived in a glass isolette attached to tubes and lines and alarms, untouchable at first. And in the early days, I confess that no matter how deeply I dug, it was hard to connect emotionally or imagine a future. And certainly I was anything but happy at that point in my life. But you know what I was? I was grateful for the fleet of nurses who not only took care of her around the clock, but somehow got us, my husband and me, through it too. And one day when Abby was just a few weeks old, it was right before Easter, I went into the neonatal intensive care and a nurse pulled me aside. And after just chatting gently for a while, she asked almost casually whether I wanted to go to a certain room in the hospital where parents sell clothes for premature babies and get an Easter dress for her. And the blood drained from my head. I felt faint, like something was out of whack. And then joy started rising from the ground up through my being. This was my daughter, and a miracle, and a wonder. Joy can come in the midst of struggle, of pain. Friends, if we are wired for happiness, we are in the end saved by joy, the deeper swelling of sheer gladness that rises from being here with each other. It saves us from despair, discouragement, the brokenness of loss or shame. And even in hard times such as we are living in, when happiness seems elusive, joy can still come to us, restore our resilience, heal us, remind us not only why life is worth living, but why it is worth loving as well. To return to Johannesburg in December of 2012, imagine yourself in a Woolworth's grocery store shopping for your dinner in those days, just following Mandela's death. The sorrow of the day in the air. Members of the staff, it would seem from their black dress, their black uniforms, are spread throughout the aisles. They're sorting fruit, they're serving samples, they're unpacking boxes. And suddenly a young man carrying a pizza launches into singing Asimbananga, a soulful 1987 tribute to Mandela. And other employees who are really members of the Soweto Gospel Choir soon join, a few at a time, here and there all over the grocery store. And the shoppers they stop. They're startled, they're questioning, they're befuddled in those first seconds. And then, as those voices fill the space, smiles spread across their faces. You can see it in a video online. Phones come out to capture a moment that these people will always remember, and some join in the singing, a singing that grows out of deep gratitude. By the end, people are wiping tears from their eyes, tears of grief and tears of joy. In the midst of the commerce of culture, people suddenly kindled a joy that could consume the sorrow. One of my favorite quotes is from the great mythologist Joseph Campbell, who counseled, "Find the place inside where there is joy, and the joy will burn out the pain." In that Johannesburg supermarket, the flame of joy burned is a tribute not just to one man, but to the grace of moments when joy comes unbidden but lasting in the soul. If ever there were a day to dance in the aisles of the grocery store, it was that day in Johannesburg. If ever there were a day to celebrate and wonder at being in this world, no matter how troubled, it is any day that joy comes to heal your heart. And if it does, as Mary Oliver says, don't hesitate. Give in to it. Joy is not a crumb. If ever there were a day, this day might even be it. And now I'm going to ask you to rise in body and street as if you were in a supermarket somewhere. Turn to number 1018 in this teal book, and soul singers come up and we'll sing "Come and Go with Me." Would our chalice lighters come forward to extinguish the flame, and would you join with me in reading the words for this, which are printed in your program? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. May your days hold laughter to ease the pain, healing words to strengthen the scars, and moments of joy on which your spirits soar. Amen. Blessed be.